video, all the same lesson. This is supposed to be revision. So when we're dividing, we end up with a rule, a to the m minus n. So you're actually subtracting your exponents. Again, the rule is not very important. Most of the well, it is very important, but it's not very important for you yet. The majority of your questions you can do without it. So you can go 3a to the 6 divided by 6a to the 8. Please do write it in the proper format. You're not supposed to be using baby divide signs. And then you should understand that this means 3 times a times a times a times a times a times a. You are, of course, welcome to write out all these a's, but I wouldn't bother, and you don't have to, right? But you should be visualizing this. So if you're not writing them, you should still be seeing this in your head. Then obviously, a divided by a, anything divided by itself is 1. A divided by 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 a. Numbers work the same way as usual. So we're going to have as simplified as possible fractions. So what we have left at the top is 1, and what we have left at the bottom is 2a squared. Please note, you can't go and say that's 2a squared, because 2a squared is not equal to 1 over 2a squared, right? That would be like saying that 6 is equal to 1/6. They simply aren't, right? So if your a's are at the bottom, keep them at the bottom. So you've got these two left, they're at the bottom, they stay there. This 2 is left, it's at the bottom, it stays there, which means you must have a 1 at the top. Next example, same idea. We'll start with a sign. We've got a negative divided by positive, so that's a negative. Deal with a number. I can divide 2 into 6, and I can divide 2 into 34, so obviously you're going to do that. Then I would just picture this. Here you've got 4 of these a's, and at the bottom you've got 7. So there must be 3 left, and they must be at the bottom, right? Here you've got 1b, and up the top you've got 3 of them, so there must be 2 left at the top. And the c's have cancelled out. Now if you look at it, you've used the subtraction rule. You've said a to the 4 minus 7 is a to the negative 3, which is the same as that. Don't worry about the negative exponent, just take my word for it, it's the same thing, right? And you've got b to the 3, and then divided by b to the 1 is the same thing as saying b to the 3 minus 1, which is b squared, which is what we have there. We are going to do the negative exponents in great detail, so don't worry about those, they're coming back, but just not today. Next example, same thing. Deal with the signs first. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. 13 goes into 26 twice, so this time the 2's at the top. The y to the 4 will stay put. The x to the 5 will stay put. Oh, sorry. And then the y's actually cancel out. So I've got 7 at the top, 4 at the bottom. That means I've got 3 left at the top and nothing at the bottom. So you can put this over 1. You'll look like a silly person, but you can if you want. But otherwise, it's just 2x to the 5 y cubed, right? This is where you need the rule. So you're not going to do any of these today. This is for later on. But imagine you were asked to solve this. Now what are you going to do? You're going to write out all the 6's? What does that even mean? If you use the rule and you say 6 to the 2x plus 1 minus everything at the bottom, notice the position of the bracket. You're not minusing the first bit, you're minusing the whole thing, just like we've done for all the algebra. So this is 6 to the 2x plus 1 minus 2x plus 3. So there's 6 to the power 4. That's an improvement, right? 6 to the power 4, it's big. If they didn't ask you to leave it in exponential form, you would go and use your calculator and find out that it's 1,296. If they say exponential form, you can leave it like that. Okay, and that's the end of this little video.